After our paranormal journals, Thought Zone second segment is finally here. Kicking off our mythology playlist, we have Japan in the spotlight. Let's dive right in. Izanagi, Izanami, Susanoo, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and the birth of our world according to Shinto mythology. This is what we'll cover in today's video. Izanagi, he who invites, and Izanami, she who invites, are the primary creator gods of Japanese mythology. After heaven and earth separated from chaos, this eighth pair of sibling gods created the first landmass of Japan and are parents to other Shinto gods and goddesses such as Amaterasu, the sun goddess, Tsukuyomi, the moon god, and Susanoo, the storm god. Keep watching to know their whole story. Chapter 1. Origin. In the account of the Kojiki, or the record of ancient matters, Izanagi and Izanami, the final generation of deities, received a command from the other gods to shape earth, which back then was just like floating oil and drifted around like a jellyfish. And so the twins used their jeweled spear to create Onogoro, the first island. On this island, they then erected a heavenly pillar which they later used in their ritual to procreate. According to legend, after Izanagi and Izanami realized that they were meant to procreate, they established a ceremony to go about it. However, the baby who was born to them first was boneless and limbless and terribly deformed. This leech child, who is known in mythology as Abyss, was set adrift in a boat by his parents in their agony and disappointment. But they refused to give up. They tried again, and this time the island of Awa was born. But Izanagi and Izanami were still not satisfied. Chapter 2. The birth of Japan. The desperate couple then turned to the Koto Amatsukami, the gods who came into existence before Izanagi and Izanami, for advice. Heeding it carefully, they conducted the procreation ceremony again. But this time, instead of Izanami, the woman, speaking first, Izanagi initiated their ritualistic compliments. And finally, the 8 biggest islands which form Japan, Awaji, Shikoku, Oki, Kyushu, Iki, Tsu, Sado, and Oyamato were born. Happy with their success, Izanagi and Izanami proceeded to give birth to the deities who would inhabit and protect these islands. Chapter 3. Tragedy strikes. But all did not end well. Izanami sustained lethal burns after giving birth to the fire god Kagutsuchi and died of her wounds. Izanagi flew into a maddening rage and in his despair butchered the baby god into several pieces. It is said that more gods were born from the mutilated remains of Izanami and Kagutsuchi, and even more from a devastated Izanagi's tears. But the story doesn't end there. Chapter 4. Izanagi's despair. Izanagi, left in the deepest pits of sadness after losing his sister wife, finally decided to chase her into the underworld, or Yomi. He just had to get her back. But imagine his utter hopelessness when, after the struggle of actually finding her, Izanami declared that she was now forbidden to set foot in the world of the living. Why? Because she had already eaten food in the world of the dead. But a desperate Izanagi refused to go back without his beloved Izanami and ardently pleaded to the gods to let him take her back. He even promised them he'd be patient and not attempt to see Izanami during the long process of release. But the minutes ticked by into days and time turned unendingly, and Izanagi's loneliness engulfed him entirely. He snuck into the underworld, breaking his promise to catch a glimpse of Izanami, whom he missed too dearly. But fate was cruel again, as he only found her rotting and decomposing corpse there, being eaten away by maggots. Conflict arose between the couple for the first time, as Izanami was upset with her husband breaking his sacred promise to the gods, and the latter was chased out of the underworld. Chapter 5. Separated Forever. Utterly hopeless and with a heavy heart, Izanami finally fled back to the world of the living and blocked the path to the Yomi with a boulder. He'd finally decided to give up, and to wash off all the impurities from such a dark place, Izanagi performed a cleansing ritual at the river mouth of Tachibana at Himuko. Izanagi washed his left eye, and Amaterasu, the sun goddess, was born. He washed his right eye, and Tsukuyomi, the moon god, was born. Susanoo, the storm god, was born after Izanagi washed his nose, and the god of wind, Shinatsuhiko, was born from his breath. 12 more gods were born when Izanagi discarded his 12 pieces of clothing into the pure river water. Chapter 6. The Power of the Trinity. Amaterasu would become the highest deity in the Shinto religion, who, as the sun goddess, would provide light to both heaven and earth and rule the universe as the queen of the kami. The second of the 3 noble children, Tsukuyomi, was the other half of Amaterasu, and together they rule the sun and the moon. Legend says that Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu were actually married at a time when the sun and the moon shared the same sky. But after Tsukuyomi killed Ukemochi, the food goddess, for creating food out of her body, Amaterasu flew into rage and separated from her brother husband, thus separating day and night. The youngest Susanoo too had to face Amaterasu's wrath as she drove him out of heaven for misbehaving in her court, and the god ended up in the mortal world. Such sibling love. Chapter 7. Destiny. Later, Izanagi divided the entire world between his 3 noble children. Amaterasu was given Takamagahara, or the plain of high heaven. Tsukuyomi got the night, and Susanoo the seas. The story ends tragically as the loving couple was separated for eternity. Izanagi in the land of the gods and Izanami in the land of the dead. The very 2 who had given birth to the islands, seas, mountains, sun, moon, winds, trees, and everything we see today, along with providing deities to protect and care for them, were led into a cruel and harsh destiny of loss, despair, and separation. It is so beautiful to see gods who resemble us humans in thought and behavior. What would you have done if your most beloved person left you? If you like this video, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Comment down below what you want to see next. In the meantime, check out more awesome content from Thought Zone.